the members, including senior professors in this cell, have cooperated in various subcommittees. They have also made active participation and cooperation making this program a grand success. So once again, I welcome to our Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, ID, then our subcommittees, IQSC members, faculty members, teachers, and all the stakeholders in this program. And I also welcome to our resource person, Dr. Ashish Manachari, who is from Cochin, and he is IIM Ahmedabad alumnus, and have visited several countries and actively, I can say, a trainer to various trainees in various occasions. He has visited many universities, academic staff colleges, now HRDC centers, and various other marketing and industrial certification courses. So we welcome you, sir, on this occasion. Session will have, like as usual, then second session will be chaired by our resource person, Dr. Ashish Manachari, and in post-lunch sessions we will have second session, and that is the theme of these accreditation programs. That's why we have invited all our section officers and above, because these people are actively involved in the data compilation and data forwarding to IPC and compilation of self-study report and annual quality assessment report. So once again, along with IPSC, I once again welcome all the administrative staff, deputy registrars, joint registrars, assistant registrars, and section officers to this one-day assessment and accreditation program.
अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का, शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का। धन्यवाद है परमात्मा इस पुण्य धरा को रचने का, शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का। गर्व हमें इस विश्वविद्यालय आश्रय विविध कलाओं का, उत्कंठ सतत नवोन्नवशत और नवोचन विधाओं का। असीम आकाश की संभावना गढ़ता सदा तत्पर, उत्कृष्टता मृतता और शिक्षा दे धारण कर। आओ मिलकर सकल विश्व में मान बढ़ाए गढ़ने का, शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का। चतुर्दिक जिसमें रीति प्रीति सम्मोहित ग्राम, लोक कला और संस्कृति परंपरा का अंगिन का। बौद्धिक चेतन शोध हमारा हर उत्सव इन गाँवों का, सुख दुख में सहभागी हम उद्योग निरंतर उज्ज्वल का। परमात्मा हमें आशीष दो, परमात्मा हमें आशीष दो, इनकी बात ऊंचा बनने का। परमात्मा हमें वर दो, हिंद महासागर बनने का। परमात्मा हमें वर दो, हिंद महासागर बनने का। सारी बधाई पार, ज्ञान हो विस्तार, सारी बधाई पार, ज्ञान हो विस्तार। शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का, शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का। शत शत नम वंदन अभिनंदन ज्ञान स्रोत इस मंदिर का।
प्रोफेसर सर, आपको आमंत्रित करने से पहले कुछ शब्द पढ़ना चाहूंगी आपके संबोधन में। प्रोफेसर Manachari, he is trained at Harvard Graduate School of Education and on educational leadership and an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad. He holds an earned PhD in emotional intelligence and trained in applied and clinical psychology, and possesses 22 plus years of experience in industry, academics, and has served as a professor adjunct professor and dean at different management schools. He is a renowned author and has written 6 books, 1 book chapter published by IAFP, 26 articles, and 1 monograph. He is the author of Happiness, Love, and Peace, a guide to experience life to the fullest. इसी के साथ देवियों एवं सज्जनों स्वागत करते हैं QMPG कोचिन के उपाध्यक्ष माननीय डॉक्टर एस.सी. मेनेसरी सर आपका स्वागत है।
One with Special Secretary Education, Government of Arunachal Pradesh will be also joining to us shortly.
Professor Saket Kushwaha, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University, Professor A. Mitra, Honorable Pro VC, Professor R.C. Paliga, Director IQAC, Professor Hassan Luthi, Director Institute of Education, other distinguished dignitaries, deans of faculty, HODs, senior professors, faculty members, staff of Rajiv Gandhi Central University. A warm good morning to all of you, and I thank Professor Paliga for giving an opportunity to serve you all. Well, I am here to provide you an introductory note just for 5 minutes. Just going to tell what we are going to discuss in detail for the 90-minute session. So I come from a accreditation background. I work in the accreditation industry. Perhaps you may be aware of different types of accreditation across the world, including EFQM, including ISO different standards. So I've traveled across 3 countries only for auditing purpose, and audited more than 94 institutions, higher education, K-12, training and knowledge management in 3 countries basically, India, UAE and Thailand. So I started this career in the year 2003, and for the past 17 years I am doing this. Well, we are going to discuss about the 7 criteria from a NAC perspective during our 1.5 hours. That would cover, we consider it as core processes and supporting processes. Once we, carefully observe the 7 criteria, it includes 3 core processes and 4 supporting processes. Well, the curricular aspects is a core process. Teaching, learning and evaluation is a core process. Research, that comes part of the core process. As well as student support and progression, that also comes into the core process. And other infrastructure, learning and resources, that comes into the supporting process. Governance, leadership and management, again is supporting process. Institutional values and best practices, they are the supporting process. Perhaps you would have heard about process classification framework for education, PCF. Once you get into that framework, this is in aligned with that, our NAC accreditation. And now, along with that 7 criteria, we will cover the roots of education as well as the learning approaches. Again, we relate it to the Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domains. These all 4 will be integrated during our we may be spending around 1.5 hours, if I am not wrong. Fine. Then, see, when we consider the learning approaches, once you go to a type of education institution, they consider a learner as a customer. And if you go to Ivy League universities, they consider learner as a raw material being transformed into a finished product. Once we look deep, into our Indian ethos, go deep, we all used to consider a delegate, a student as a learner, second, a teacher or a professor as a co-learner. Don't get confused. He is co-learning the student to provide a unique learning experience. And together, we use to design a learning environment. So this is our Indian perspective. So basically there are three approaches. The raw material approach is being followed by majority of the IIMs, Harvard, etc. etc. The customer-centric approach, student is a customer, is followed by American Society for Quality, ISO, almost all standards. So there are three other approaches. So once we design a curriculum, what is our approach? That is very important. Along with that, whenever we design a curriculum, what is the purpose of designing it? So at the highest level, once we consider Bloom's taxonomy, Lord Brahma's job is the highest cognitive domain. What is Lord Brahma's job? Creation. Make things happen. At the lowest level, it is remembering. So the cognitive domain expands right from the lowest level, remembering, then concept formation, comprehension, and understanding. Then the top level called as creation. So while designing a curriculum, what is our approach? What is our perspective? So these are all going to be discussed. Moreover, once we consider the root of education, there are four perspectives. The first one is educo, you would have heard about. The second one is educare. The third one is educare. And the fourth one is educatum. There are four perspectives. Once we look into the root words of education. And educo talks about a journey from I that is progressing towards, expressing outward. The I is coming out. But once we consider the educare, it talks about nourishment, or rather how a child is being fed, taken care of by providing mother's milk. But we need to understand a child needs to suck the milk. That is educare. And the educatum that talks about the learning approaches, the processes, the systems that as professors we all provide for the purpose of bringing the child up, the learner up. So this all will be integrated to the NAC perspective, and finally we will just have a sharing on how documents need to be prepared. Now, Professor Saket Kushwaha sir, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, he was just sharing, there are two things why an auditor, whenever we conduct audit, they will look for. The first one is the intent and the adequacy. We call it as intent audit and adequacy audit. So whenever we are submitting a record, they can in fact assess the intent and adequacy of that. You can have a record, yes, I mentioned, I'll just take
Please go.
15 seconds. And whenever we submit a record, we can have a plain sheet of paper telling that we conducted it. We can also have a photograph of that. We can also have the people, photograph of number of people sitting over there. We can also have the learning outcome effectiveness verification on the continuing level. So, if the intent is perfect, they will focus on the expected behavioral outcomes after the training, expected behavioral outcomes after the training that on an ongoing basis. So, after 2 weeks, what is the behavioral change that has happened after receiving the training? After 1 week, what has happened? Who has monitored it? Is there a learning and development manager or in charge of an L&D person who monitor the behavioral outcome, expected behavioral outcome after receiving the training? After 1 month, after 2 months, after 3 months. At that level also the intent may be demonstrated so that the auditor who is coming to conduct the audit will have a clear idea that the intent is there and the adequacy is also there. So just mentioning this point, let me conclude, and I thank all of you for giving an opportunity to serve you all, because our Indian perspective is that without the delegate, the tutor doesn't exist. So the purpose of the whole system of education itself you know, we as tutors, co-learners, trainers, teachers, professors, we are not greater than the student, because if a student is not there, we don't exist. Thank you.